Uh, and crazy, yeah. It's you know what panic this inche. Երբ որ դպրոց կերտային, ամենա արևմտա Հայաստանի քրոհները գային, չէ, Հակոբ Պարոնյան, մույսը որ մեկն է, որ միշտ կգարթանք եւ գսեն որ գամ թոքախտե մերավ, գամ ալ you know like թոքախտե եւ like աղկադություն է եւ քրբանը միան մեկա 4 սոխմը գա, you know like դոնոցի մեկա սոխմը եւ like սիգարետ մը գամ, համը իսար հիմա գերտաս կնայես խանութը գսես وا ասեր վիճակը քիծար like միան սոխմն ասեր
Holy shit, bro.
It's messed up. Hey, we'll be all right. Nah.
Man.
Chilling, bro.
Made a hishtab, bro.
No.
Incha, look what I got today, and I felt like an idiot for it. I went and got myself a green smoothie, and then I went home. I was like, what is a green smoothie, right? What is these people here have so much. They don't even care what I mean. They put everything they can find, which is green, they put in a blender, and they make you think it's healthy. Just because of the excess of stuff, excess of things we have. And when I opened it, I was drinking. I was like, oh, I'm such an idiot. I'm such an idiot. Like these people in Artsakh, they're like literally looking Sochen Mangali, It's insane, man. It's insane.
The panga adormet, there's like a science to it too, that like with more choice comes like more anxiety and depression, It's like if you go to a store and there's 2 types of jeans and you get one, you're like, okay, like this is good, whatever. But if there's 17 types of jeans and you get it and you go home, like it's kind of tight around the knee. I made the bad choice. I probably should have picked another one, That's panaga.
Let's try Ichiga. It's either Gretchka or Pan. We're cool with both.
Papan միշտ պատմում էր, որ like I don't know, հայերեն ավելի ճիշտ ռուսերենը մենակ գիտեմ. It's grechka,
Yeah.
And what is it, buckwheat? I don't know. Anyway. I find it disgusting, it's absolutely disgusting. I can't get it through my throat. So but
it's
my
good,
mom,
bro. It's a neutral flavor, like it kind of
tastes like cement for some reason. Anyway, my mom just always made it just for my dad, and I'm like, man, what is wrong with you? What's wrong with your taste buds? But it seems hamar shut hamar. So apparently we went to this to the barracks, and they still serve like grechka, and he just remembers it from his time serving, and it's like it's the scarcity, but you can actually taste it. It's so bad, the scarcity, you can taste it through that stuff. Tarak, Choknatik, interview this live SNN.
Yes, actually today I slept at like 4. I woke up at 8 because in the West Coast they were doing an interview, my people with Aspram and Peklarian. But shot to Shkohe, bro. Shot to Shkohe. I was like cussing my dad out too, I don't know. I feel like no one's interested in that. It's like, what are you doing now? Like what are you doing? What is the government gonna do? And Chemkider, but shot to Shkohe, like you, they didn't ask the questions. They didn't go like, okay, like Goris inch connect or why aren't you going to Goris? What are the families that are stuck there doing? What are we doing to open this road? Okay, let's say it doesn't open. What options do we have? And they didn't even ask the questions that is like, okay, guys, there's people that want to say, how come the Russians aren't opening the road? It's like, okay, answer that, like answer that question. So people shut up about that. Like, okay, why aren't we going and pushing the road open? Why? None of this was going on. It was just the same, like, okay, I want to talk to you guys and keep telling you guys that the Armenia government is not sufficient. But Chemkider.
That's the reason why yes, Artsakhtsi, let's have a casual conversation.
Hey, this part isn't being recorded, right? I mean, is it going to be on the podcast?
If it's good, it's going to be on there.
I mean,
Okay, yeah. I can beep you as well if you want to.
no, man. I gotta do my due diligence in this role.
Gev, I've seen you like Artık hazır ankam teselem kez verçiyor
Yeah,
elin.
yes, let me meditate this bit, bro.
But I think I just wanted to know how you guys just feel, you know? Like, does anyone ever ask you that? Like, how do you guys even feel? Like, Slovatek, Inchka, man, tak jure sor lave, yesi minch, man. Everyone just keeps on haydati grasa yaknere espet mate, I'm in the ANC too. I know, but whatever Shant is saying, right? I think what are the real questions now? Let's be honest here. Yes, we put pressure on the Dutch government. We put pressure on. We lobby. We do this. We try. We do our utmost. It's the least we can do, right? Green smoothie nedov bano violent. I mean, we're fine. We can do that. But what the real questions, like how the people actually feel right now? What does this? I'm going to say it. This bullshit government that we have is actually doing. The thing that got me most is Pashinyan's tweet about the international community. Aray ish. Inch international community, you know, it's done. You know, it's for this situation. The international community is done for now. It should be out of our vocabulary for the time being until this actual regional problem is solved.
The way I look at it is that like one as Haitat as ANC, it's our responsibility to work in this realm. Because you know some of that is mitigated to a certain extent because we have an incompetent government. I understand that doesn't mean necessarily our work dies down. In fact, I think that like when you've got a foreign ministry in Armenia that's like making Photoshop flyers, it makes you know, things that like our AYF kids do, which is great. But like you represent the entire foreign ministry. Alan Simonian, the Speaker of the Parliament, is like #SaveUs. That's a problem, and there is serious diplomatic work, lobbying work that needs to be done, pressure that needs to be exerted. That doesn't mean that the government doesn't have a responsibility. It's got a great responsibility, but I don't think our foreign ministry or our diplomatic corps are necessarily doing their job seriously. And I think that that's when, you know, Haitat steps up in that realm. Now there's multiple realms that, you know, there's work that needs to be taken on, like Shant does vital work on the ground, provides solar, you know, everybody does their thing in their capacity. It doesn't mitigate or minimize anything, but yeah, the core of it all is that like it'd be nice to have a strong competent government. It'd be real nice.
It took him a minute, Shant, to put on the ANC Gev hat on. You know, but how do you feel, Gev? That's what I'm concerned about. Like, what are the emotions there? Or Shant, what's? I mean, I see these devastating videos of you telling how. Right now, the way this conversation started, Miat bananem getel, and it's for the kid. Yeah, that's heartbreaking to me. You know, that's devastating, and I'm sure you're not the only one. There's a lot of people in the same situation. How do these people feel?
From one end, you know, I feel really proud of the people around me, and it's like an honest thing, not just like I want to say yes, we're strong, you know, whatever, that type of thing. I really feel proud because even when you went into like the produce store, the vegetables, this, that, you see that there's no price gouging. You see that no one's trying to tackle each other to get there. And you see that no one's just trying to hoard everything for themselves. You know, everybody's just like buying at the same standard pace that they would buy stuff. And if they see like 3 tomatoes, you know, they're not going like, okay, give me all 3. You know, they're like, okay, like give me one. Somebody else might need one, you know? So that's really refreshing to see, which is something that you go like, okay, you know, like I guess we are an Ask. We are like a group of people that have a shared common history, and we believe that our destiny and our future is also shared. You know, we're not just a society of bunch of individuals that live close to each other. Um, but the other thing that like saddens me, and I'm also disappointed in myself, being someone that like even in the US, I think like you know they have these like shows that's like Doomsday Prepper and this that you know, and I've seen that stuff, and I go like, well, you know what? If you're living in California, like I think it's kind of excessive to be stockpiling 4 years of food and fuel and water and you know like walkie talkies and generators and all that stuff. But we actually live in a place that you know like that type of stuff should be common practice, you know. So it's I'm disappointed in myself that I'm not as prepared, and I'm disappointed like in like these last 2 years that you know we've been kind of like trying and trying, but like we never got out of first gear, you know, to really like move on to like really good steps. I mean, it's kind of heartbreaking also to see that the reaction from people in Armenia isn't what I would expect, and even even like we could criticize the shortcomings of the government, you know, say like kind of ridiculous for somebody that's the speaker of the parliament to just say save us or this that or whatnot. But I feel like we're not even doing the minimum action, which is like okay, like sharing information well, okay, and B, addressing what we can, okay. If right now I'm in Artsakh, fine, I get it. Let's say Armenia totally washed its hands, you know, from Artsakh, from me, or they're completely, they can't do anything. There's something that they could do for those 11, 1,200 people that are, they left on a day trip to go buy stuff from Goris, or they left on 2 days to go visit someone or go to a hospital or get medical care in Yerevan, and they're expecting to come back to their home. These guys didn't pack a suitcase with a week's worth of clothes. They didn't take all their medicine with them. They didn't take, you know, all their whatever reserves of funds or cash or you know something that they could pawn with them. These guys are stuck in Armenia, and unfortunately, it's coming back to like an individual contacting me being like, hey Shant, you know me, you know my brother's in this village, I'm stuck over here, can you help him? Well, what about you? How are you paying for a hotel? Well, you take care of my brother and I'll try to get somebody else to take care of me. It's like we're what do you call it, we're like a crowdfunding, you know, a little small refugee crisis, you know, internally displaced people, 1,000 people. And like if I have one true, like one honest, like the easiest criticism of the current government is like, okay, where is your people that are in charge of these people right now? Okay, and why is there nobody in Goris? Why nobody's sharing their story? Why is there nobody taking care of exactly what's going on there? I'm not even saying open the road, do this diplomacy, solve this regional crisis, you know, like just solve the thing if you addressed it, you know. And if you're gonna say world save us, at least like if you're like a diplomat at that high level, it should be like save us how? What do you want? What do you want? You want us to send you 30 billion like we did to Ukraine? Is that what you want? You know, like be more specific. Tell me what you want. You know, and if your government for a year and a half now, 2 years, has been trying to convince its own people that you know what, we're not going to recognize Artsakh as an independent republic, okay? We're fine with it being, you know, taken care of by Azerbaijan. And Azerbaijan is promising to recognize the rights of the Armenians that live there, and they're going to take good care of them, and nothing's going to happen. This is at least like a lesson that we should learn right now. Like, no, clearly that's never going to happen because we're not even there yet. And these guys are trying to starve us to death. These guys are trying to cut us off from medical care. These guys are prohibiting our free movement. Okay. So at least that's clear now, but they're still in denial of that. They should get up and say, hey, you know what, guys? I said that Azerbaijan made a promise. You know, they pinky sweared that they're not going to kill off the Armenians once the Armenians in Artsakh and stop being Artsakh, and it just becomes the Nagorno-Karabakh portion of Azerbaijan or something, well, you know what? I was wrong. This guy's a dictator. This guy's still hell-bent on killing us. And Turkey is backing them up, and they have Turkish forces piled up, just south of us. So be getting prepared, because it's going to be next. I don't know.
Look, I read somewhere too on the tail end of Shant's point that if Azerbaijan wanted to start a new wave of aggression, whatever, one of the most effective ways it can do it is to blockade everything that comes here, to deplete us of resources, of fuel, of all the things that we would need to defend ourselves and do so. A lot of times we're concerned about the humanitarian crisis side of it, and that's very real in every layer of society. But in the back of my mind, unfortunately, I don't think this is the be all and end all of what Azerbaijan's trying to do. And that's why, look, we take this very seriously, but we know what can come, and we know that it's even worse than this humanitarian catastrophe. So we've got to be prepared. The governments on all fronts need to be prepared. This isn't like a joke. This isn't a hashtag Twitter campaign. This is the existential fight for a nation.
Yeah, precisely. It's an existential fight right now, and that level, it's people aren't addressing it with that level of seriousness.
A couple of years ago, I think it was in 2015, when in the International Courts of Human Rights, the Armenian genocide was being discussed. We started a global campaign, recognize the Armenian genocide, whatever, right? It's very important to us, of course, right? The Twitter campaigns and whatever. The sheer contrast with how acute everything is right now is I'm not saying the Armenian genocide or recognition of it isn't important, but there's people right now for 10 days being 11, if I believe right now, are blockaded, are deprived of all kinds of resources of care, and hashtag save us, or even us. Let's be fair. What have we exactly done? Yes, I've donated to Solar Artsakh. Yes, I've Artsakh support body. We've done all that stuff. I got my family to donate, but in reality, you are playing with lives, right? Make a triage, or if this continues, we're going to take matters in our own hands. This is 10, 11 days now. What if 12, 13, 14? What happens if it's a month like this? What are we going to do? I mean, it's not crazy to think that. I mean, would it be crazy to say that the Armenian government should actually threaten the ecological activists to remove them by force if they don't stop blocking the road? Would that be a weird thing to ask?
In my opinion, I feel like it's going to come down to survival, living or dying, and everything should be on the table. I mean,
it's a matter of life and death, right?
Yeah. I mean, what's the other option? It's like, hey, if you guys do something and we don't like it, we might kill you. And B, the current option, which is we're going to kill you slowly. So I don't see. I don't know.
That's a reaction I exactly have. I mean, I'm so they're not willing.
There's always a danger in like it's never really wise in politics to be like to give yourself red lines, because when it gets there and you don't really pull the trigger, you lose credibility, and it just doesn't. It's worse, to like be like, okay, this is our line in the sand. If you get to 20 days, then we're gonna do this. I don't know. I understand in politics, people try to refrain from doing that, from putting themselves, like locked in on like a contract like that, basically. um, it's right now the way it's going is like, okay, we're just gonna keep this going. There's nothing like, hey, like, okay, when are you guys gonna step in? What happens? Like we start getting people dying from, the no medication. Okay, 1, 2 died. Okay, whatever. Once 10 babies die, then we're really gonna up our game, or what is it? Like where is the line? And
Look,
Yeah,
on
what do
this,
you make
on
of this attitude of the Armenian government? What
so look, to be frank, I don't rely on the Armenian government for anything now. I don't expect anything of them, because for the last 2 years I've had lots of hopes that have been, diminished in terms of what we can change and what we can do. I know that here from the ground with, the folks in the diaspora, the folks in Iceland, they care about Artsakh. These are the folks that are going to wield the future of what happens. Now, politically speaking, on like a serious note, I think we run a danger in terms of resorting to aggressive action right now, though many people would say that it's, warranted, because right now we have a humanitarian situation. We don't want them to portray it as this like political damage. What they're doing is ethnic cleansing. We're not, counter protesters, blah, blah, blah. That being said, Artsakhtsis, the people living here, have the right not to be ethnically cleansed. And it's not something that we're going to lay over and let people do. So when that time comes, I'm sure that Artsakhtsis, by whatever means, by all the people, will do what is necessary to make sure that like we can live here. Nobody here is like warmongering. Like, what are our asks right now? It's like, let food and produce come through, let whatever, and whoever wants to paint us as, I don't think it's an extreme position to say that we have the right to survive. We have the right to live. Our kids have the right to medicine, to food, and we have the right to, by, when that time comes, fight for those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was this protest organized in Yerevan, right? Where the some celebrities, they gathered around and said, we are planning a protest for Artsakh, and we are not part of any political or any kind of organizations. We are individuals that would like to, contribute to the struggle, and we want to put pressure on it. So what bothers me there is the actual need to, how do you say that, claim that you're apolitical. The fact that you have to be apolitical, and then you'll be you're trustworthy. It annoys me to bits. This is actually what the people find acceptable. Ոնց գուսակցական լինելը քխա, քխա. It's something dirty.
I think the problem is, look, I'm not one that says that everyone should be a part of the opposition or everyone should be a part of my party, blah, blah, blah. But if your stance is that I want Artsakh to survive, you don't. It doesn't take a genius to see that there's something rotten at the core of Armenian governance today. To say that like, I'm apolitical, I'm cool with the political system going as is, but I want Artsakh to survive. Those are two contradictory things. Every day the norm continues is a day that Artsakh's existence is
exactly
threatened. So don't like us, don't join our protests, but that doesn't mean you got to come out and say no, everything is fine. I think Alan Simonian should keep making Photoshop flyers. I think Edmond Marokyan should keep tagging Aliyev, but the wrong account on Twitter to get him to like consciousness. Like, these are I'm not asking anyone to come to our side, but if you want to come to the side of Artsakh, there's things that you got to reject that rot at the core of the Armenian political system.
They actually did that, didn't he? And Marukyan actually
he tagged the parody. Aliyev's parody. One, I think it's like, to as the chief spokesman, ambassador to the larger, whatever his like title is, to think that you're going to tag Aliyev and he's going to be like, oh, Edmond Marukian said this, I should chill out with the ethnic cleansing. That's comical. One. Two, to tag his parody account instead is like, you not only know what's going on, but you're so incompetent that you can't, take it one step further.
And then there's that like hint of I don't know, like that it makes me feel like they're so untrustworthy that they don't even use Armenian place names. It's like you're using the Azerbaijani occupiers place names. You're calling it Lachin instead of Pertsor. You're not calling it the Republic of Artsakh. You're calling it like, people living in Nagorno-Karabakh and whatnot, which is like they themselves are just pushing the dagger in deeper every single time. It's they might sound like they're saying something that is like pro Artsakh or pro Armenia, but in fact they're just cementing the same Azerbaijani lies, and they're still trying to propagate that lie of like, hey, Artsakh, Azerbaijan, you promised us you're gonna take good care of these people. Please take better care of them. It's just
it's
we're
ridiculous.
dealing with people that unfortunately they have spent years dehumanizing us. Maybe I could even say a century dehumanizing us, and now we're trying to ask for humane treatment from them. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And I think that this is a good time for like a collective vocabulary lesson. People used to like kind of criticize us because we'd use the term capitulant a lot, right? Capitulation. But this is what capitulation looks like. Capitulation looks like a government that's absolved all agency in itself and responsibility in itself to say that, like, the Armenian government can't do anything but ask other people to do something. The capitulation wasn't just on November 9th, it's every day that followed. It's every time Azerbaijan tries to ethnically cleanse, tries to do something to this population, and Armenia's own government has no response besides, hey, somebody else do something for us.
If I wanted to, if the Armenian government wants to gain any trust with me or actually try to slightly convince me that they care, I want to see the tarmac of Zvartnots right now with a plane getting filled with medical supplies and food and clothing and whatnot, okay? And let that plane be operated by whoever it wants. Let it be operated by the Red Crescent, the Red Cross, whatever, okay? Not even an Armenian flying it, and be like, we're filling up these planes, okay? And these planes are going to take off to Stepanakert, all right? And I want them to fill up trucks and drive those trucks down to Goris and cross, and it doesn't need to be armed or anything like that, okay? Just regular humanitarian aid, okay? And get it ready and go. Send this mission out, okay? And show that to us, show that to the world, and be like, this is what we're doing. Look, this is, it's just Tylenol, it's diapers, it's food. This plane is filled. This plane, the rotors are starting up, the engines are fired up, and we're gonna go. This is what's gonna happen.
What are you saying? This guy, during a campaign rally, he actually said, Մեր գերիները երկու ամիս էլ կսպասեն.
That was 2 years ago, right?
Yeah,
like a year and a half, almost 2 years.
What can we possibly expect in the rational sense, right? But then, like I mentioned before, there's this tweet where he tries to mention, the international community should take certain steps, and France and whatever, and then try to act within this set of rules, these limits that are set by some international community or some international court of human justice or whatever, and that those tweets that Marukian, Simonian, and Pashinyan is sending, that they eventually might make some impact. People are so inexperienced. This government is so inexperienced that they don't see the reach. They are grown in a certain set of rules which they think they actually apply. But once that's why the previous leaders, they saw it all. They saw how there is actually no other rule than power. That
might
that
makes right.
eventually, exactly, might makes right. That, and they know that boundary can always be pushed. But it seems like they believe that there are rules that apply to this blockade. There aren't. There are no rules here. There are secret agents. There are spies and whatever, all dressed up in civil clothing, pretending to be ecologists, ecological activists, or whatever they are. And they come here, they murder a bunch of pigeons, and they pretend that this is all right and fair and whatnot. You have to negotiate your way, knowing the boundaries and passing those to actually make a change. No tweet, no international community, no.
Look, all that said, back to my last point, I think whatever happens with this country, with this nation, with Artsakh, is not going to be dependent on the current Armenian government. And people like Shant, people like Hago, people that I'm lucky enough to call my friends here, unfortunately, on whatever size scale, that commitment, this hopefully it multiplies. Hopefully, yeah, like that here on the ground. That's what's gonna bring us to the nation that we want. That's what's gonna bring us to the self-sustainable nation that we want. I'm beyond putting my hopes on anybody, and I don't mean that in like this defeatist sense. I mean that in like I've seen what individuals can do. I've seen what somebody like Shant can do in Marduni. Imagine we have like 5 of him. One in Mardaget, one here, one there, and that type of commitment, the more people that we get that commit themselves, that are even sometime here, that are willing to raise funds from out there, we're the only hope that we have. I'm beyond asking for the Armenian government to come to their senses, to have a sense of dignity for whatever the people decide to remove them. I hope with the opposition to do so every single day of my life. But right now, my hope is in us, in our collective strength, in our guys.
Do you guys still enjoy being asked, "Why don't you chiganati sahmana karves?"
Togan mezi Artsakhum hartsinen.
Yeah.
I specifically enjoy it when they ask you guys.
Yeah. It's sad. It's sad. Like just like on that note, the last person that was asking me that, it was basically, they were right before this blockade. They asked me that because of like some criticism I gave about, a bunch of cops guarding a Christmas tree, like $2 million on it, and drilling holes into, like our cultural heritage, just destroying it. And that person was like, man, all over the place, tweeting and criticizing and defending everything. And then it's like, we've been in the blockade, and just, it's hard to sleep sometimes. You got so many thoughts on your head. And I go, and I like, let me check what this person that was so like caring and loving and so interested in Armenia and this Christmas tree is saying nowadays. And it's like, they had 1,000 things to say about a Christmas tree. They haven't even said one word, about what's going on now, and it's like, that's like some of these people in a nutshell, that it's just, they just care about, glitz and glamour and this and that, but the cost, the side, what's really going on, if it's really something, a tough subject, they just disappear, they just totally shut off. Like, oh, news out of Armenia isn't like something happy, like they have a panda that was born in the zoo, it's like, oh, that would be like number one. They would love it. They would talk about it. They would tell all their friends, like, there's no medication. There's Azeri terrorists that just like 2 months ago videotaped themselves beheading a woman, writing the Azeri Special Forces Yashma on her body, mutilating, stripping her naked. I'm gonna try to go around town now. I have a few things I need to do. I'm gonna go and try to just try to get some like interviews with people. saying, just in case I could share with you guys and other people.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
And kind of see what's going on at our local hospital.
How were the kids to that 11-year-old and 13-year-old kid are they being looked after? Some
Yeah,
people
yeah.
from LA
I mean,
sent some money to give over to them.
yeah. The like Curab and other people, they're obviously incurring like some costs and stuff to take care of them, and they're helping them out. It's like a tight knit little village, and those kids, like I've seen all of them before, and I know the Curabid, and he's a really good guy. He's good with them. So there, I mean, there's like snow and it's kind of colder over there. Definitely than Marduni, we're a bit lower elevation, but they have like 5 families that have like a lot of kids,
Yeah.
and the priest is trying to see if I could set up something to like some flour or oil to me because I have to go to the stores again to see like who has what, first off, and B, see which family actually needs what. Like,
Yeah, if you're gonna go this weekend, let me know. In the next few days, I'll send stuff over too.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
I'm loving the candidness of how help is just organized. It's heartwarming in the sense that
It takes a village,
you know what
it is incredible. You know how we would always when we would go to Artsakh and and people would say like Artsakhum, like the whole atmosphere is different. It's something else. And you could feel how Artsakhtsi they were just much better. First of all, much better people than than we are. Like the Artsakhtsis are legit, and now it shows like in like in practice you see these people taking care of each other and actually
they're very genuine, humble. It's one of the things is like that whole loch lava mentality, loch lav bidi Allah mentality, which is like a double-edged sword because yes, they're not panickers, but there's certain things that sometimes you go like, wait, we need to up our sense of urgency. We need to up our sense of urgency. And like, okay, don't go panic like a headless chicken, but come on, it's like that's that attitude that okay, it's also good and it's also harmful, but
you love to see it, bro. I can say
no, of course,
we've been trying to like go. So when we interview some of the professionals like doctors, pharmacists, teachers, they understand that they've got to paint the whole holistic picture of what's going on, talk about the difficulties. I have trouble interviewing the residents here because I'm like, what's going on? There's no, and it's a reality. There's no like vegetables. There's like half the shelves are bunch like اینجا make like it's
yeah.
but that's the mentality. Now we talk about that on like the residential civic level, but that's the mentality I wish some of our current political leaders had today of like hardship is hardship. What's more important is our dignity, our right to live on this land, our blah blah blah. And you see it in the most common places here in Artsakh, and it's what's most like glaringly vacant in the top brass of the leadership in Armenia.
The generation that's leading the country, that's also like a which got very complacent, right? I remember when the homeland here in Holland was organizing a football tournament, and one kid, there were kids playing, and then one kid got got tackled like very badly and fell, and then these kids who just came out of the Iraq War, they were Iraqis, they came from Baghdad. So he comes up to me, he's like, Baron, in Chayarel, asem make Ujeren Gela, ba Arunka, asem Che. Oh, okay, Aurum. You know, it's like people have gotten very complacent due to a relatively good life in Armenia, especially in Yerevan. This generation that is, the DJs, the pub, the baristas that all of a sudden got like these high positions at with the civil contract party. They they are fed lies, first of all, but it's also the complacency. It's how easy they've had in life and haven't seen any difficulties. Probably never been to Artsakh. Um, and these people are leading the country in very, very difficult times, and they are not up for it. They're not. They don't have that experience, which is an objective reason to have different leadership. I'm not saying ideologically, like this is an objective reason why. Well, when you have a company, you need a experienced whatever accountant, market, whatever. If someone just simply objectively factually can't do the job, you need someone else, right? You can't put like a intern try to run the accountancy department, right? It's like this objective fact that these people are incapable, and it shows now for 2-3 years, and now we got the objective proof to show that.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
yeah, we had to learn the hard way, of course. Derek,
Yeah.
I know you guys are busy, and I'm very happy that you are, because when you guys are busy, beautiful things happen. Thank you for this conversation, man. I didn't.
Yeah, it was
actually...
nice freely speaking.
Yeah,
take the hat off sometimes, but it's always good connecting.
Yeah, it shouldn't always be մարդու իրավունքների պաշտպանություն կամ տարածքային ամբողջականություն versus ազգերի ինքնորոշման իրավունք եւ այլն. Sometimes we need to know what's the real story behind the individuals, the people who are actually doing this. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all the work, and we'll keep in touch, guys. Love, Eric.
Thanks,
You too. Thanks for being a friend. Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Right.